Hi guys, welcome back to Nyx Reads. I have a book unhaul for you guys today for the first time on this channel. I really need to reorganize my bookshelf because I only have one, I don't have that much space, and you'll probably be able to tell I have a bunch of books down here just crammed into the space between the two boxes here. I haven't had the chance to put them into the shelves yet. I figured I'm just gonna get rid of the books that I'm not keen on anyways to keeping. So all of the books that I'm unhauling today I actually already read. They're just really not for me, so I'd rather just pass them along and make some room for new books that I love. I kind of organized my pile by genre, and I'm actually going to start with contemporary fiction. This is actually more leaning towards romance or like rom-com. The first one is actually a bestseller. It's The Rosie Project. And this one I liked okay. I think I gave it 2 or 3 stars, but in the end I just really wasn't that into it. I'm really not interested in reading the next books in the series. This book is about our main character Don Tillman, who I believe it's implied that he's on the spectrum of autism. He's actually a professor of genealogy, and he has a new project where he wants to find the perfect woman for him based on a scientific questionnaire. Along the way he meets Rosie, who's on the quest to find her biological father. I just really wasn't into the story. I thought Rosie was a very two-dimensional, flat, very daddy issue heavy character that had nothing really else going on for her. There was just no character arc at all. Don's perspective was very endearing. He's a very sweet man, but that's pretty much it. I really wasn't into the premise. And because this book is so popular, I am sure that this book is gonna find a new, more loving home. Then I have The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. I think I even bought this full price from Chapters. I mean, does this book need an introduction? I don't think so. I do love the movie, although it's very, very cheesy. And I think the mood just struck one day to read the actual book, which honestly, I can't even remember the differences anymore. I guess it was okay, but it's nothing that I need to keep on my shelf. And honestly, if I ever feel like I want to dive into this story, I'm probably just going to open up Netflix and watch the movie with Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams. Next, I have 2 thrillers that I want to give away. The first one is The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. If I'm not mistaken, this book made it into the worst books of 2021 that I read. This book was actually for the longest time always around here. It actually bothered me that every time I filmed a video, this book that I really disliked was on display. So this is kind of the book that inspired me to do this haul, if I'm honest. This book really feeds the female main character who has substance abuse issues, unreliable narrator trope. What I remember, there was a lot of nothing that happened in this book, so it was honestly just boring for most of the time. Also, Anna's perspective was more than anything just frustrating, so we didn't have a fun amateur sleuth kind of thing going on, and then her backstory was just really not that interesting. A lot of foreseeable things happen in this book. If you want to read something along these lines, and something like Girl on the Train is, I think, a better book than this one. And after reading some things up on A.J. Finn, the author, if it's to believe what is written on his Wikipedia page, then he did some very awful things in his life to propel his career. Judging by the quality of the story, I was really just, why is this book everywhere? The fact that he used to work at William Morrow, so the publishing house that did bring out this book, it just makes me wonder if he had some kind of say in how much budget to allocate for marketing, since I think he had some kind of director position there. But I'm working off assumptions here. I don't want to put, you know, wrong accusations into the world. Have your own opinion, but I'm gonna stay away from this author. Speaking of The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, the next one is actually a book by that author. It's Into the Water. I believe I also got this from Book Outlet, so I didn't spend 30 bucks on this. Very similar to The Woman in the Window, there's again just not a lot of things happening in this book. We follow the aftermath of the death of a woman who may or may not have committed suicide, and she leaves behind a daughter. Pretty much all of the background stories, plot points that were supposed to come together in the end also were just very flat. Yeah, I would skip this one, and I'm just gonna give this one away in case somebody else wants to read this and maybe they'll like it. The next 2 books are 2 fantasy books. So the first one is The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Heilig. And not gonna lie, the main reason why I picked this book up is because the character's name is Nyx, so like me. I thought that was cool and new because I've never read about a character who had the same name as me. I can barely say that I read this because I'm pretty sure I skimmed or skipped, I think 70% through the book because it really didn't grip me at all. I can't even put my finger on what my issue was, but I think it was just the writing really wasn't for me. For some reason, I was not getting into the story at all. I did not connect to any of the characters. I think it's set in Hawaii. It has to do with time travel. Nyx is traveling through time to find her mom or something like that. And it has to do with pirates, with ships, a tropical setting. So all of that sounded intriguing, but honestly, this did absolutely nothing for me. I'm not going to read the second book, and I'm just going to pass this along because, again, the premise sounds kind of cool, right? So maybe somebody else will kind of vibe more with the writing style and really get into the story the way I just really could not. Then I have The Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, also a book from Book Outlet. I featured this also in my most disappointing book video of the year. I was so sure that this is going to be a 4 or 5 star read because it's so well loved. The story revolves our very young main character, Nona, who gets rescued by this convent where she is then raised and trained by killer nuns. It wasn't very gripping. I enjoyed the female friendships and the bonds in here and the killer nuns for sure, but I think this was 2 out of 5 stars for me. Then I have 4 YA books, so I think this speaks to me moving a bit away from that genre or from that age bracket of stories. So first I have Again But Better by Christine Riccio, and I solely bought this book because she was one of the very first booktubers that I watched, and I really wanted to see what she was working on. I mean, to be honest, I don't really watch her anymore. I understand that this is a debut novel, and to be honest, I didn't find it that strong. So this is about a girl who travels to London for an internship against her parents' will, or she holds it in secret, I think. And then there's like a time travel element in here. I don't have anything in here that I hate, but there was also absolutely nothing in here that I loved, so that's why I'm passing it along. Then I have What Light by Jay Asher. I believe I solely picked this up because I wanted some type of Christmas read. I do think that this was a fine, like an okay book. Like if you're into YA and you want to read something Christmassy, I do think this was good enough for that. But other than that, I have absolutely no recollection of the story or of the characters, which is fine, and I just know that I won't pick it up again. There's other Christmas books in the more adult section that I will be reading during the next holidays. Then I have The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I think this was a very popular booktube book like 5-6 years back, something like that. This is an Arabian Nights Sherazad retelling. I can't really remember what the story's about. I can't even remember if I liked it or not. I think I liked it okay, so I imagine that I gave this 3 stars. I actually have to check on my Goodreads, but I really just don't have any plans on reading the next novels in this series. I think there's at least 1 or 2 more. Then I have a thriller YA type of book, so I'm giving away Little Monsters by Kara Thomas, and I think I actually did enjoy this one because it was so fast-paced and it was a thriller more than anything else. So I think what happens is that a popular girl vanishes in, I think, the night of a house party, so her friends try to figure out what happened to her, if she's still alive, if she's dead. I'm not planning on rereading this, and I didn't like it enough to have it on display on my bookshelf. And lastly, I'm unhauling one nonfiction book. It's The Financial Diet by Chelsea Fagan. I liked it fine. I thought it had really good tips, but first of all, she's a US author, so a lot of the tips in here are more specifically tailored towards people who live in the US. So I just feel like any information that was useful for me, I got out of here. So I don't see myself going back and reading this book. So I'm just gonna give this to somebody else who now wants to, start planning for their financial future. Those were all the books that I'm unhauling. Let me know if you read any of these books and if you agree with my thoughts, or if some of these books maybe are still in your TBR. You know, if they are, just because I didn't enjoy them that much, then it doesn't mean that you won't. Plus, I was intrigued enough to have read them, right? So you decide for yourself. Yeah, let me know which is the last book that you gave away or unhauled. Feel free to subscribe to this channel if you enjoy bookish videos, and give this video a like if you enjoyed this content. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye.